Welcome to the Set and Bent podcast. This week, we are going to talk about two up-and-coming, very special projects on the channel, and I have some very interesting knowledge that I want to share with this man.
This man has been telling me about the knowledge, but he won't tell me unless we're on the podcast. So
Here we
you guys
are.
get to hear it for the first time right here on the Set and Bent podcast. This man said that he was not going to drink any caffeine anymore. I'm not proud of this decision, man.
I just had too much caffeine over the weekend. It's okay.
This is all downhill from
fine.
here. You're going to be at 12 caffeines a day pretty soon, man.
Well, as long as I don't get as bad as your caffeine problem.
And next thing you know, you're going to be waking up going 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle or something. It's a dangerous path.
And having 10 police officers put my hands behind my back
Oh, no.
because I was speed racing a Subaru. Which is actually a big part of what I want to talk about on the podcast today.
Subaru.
More
Subaru.
than just a Subaru, dude.
I think I know what you want to talk about because we've had a plan for a while for something very magical.
I think it's time to fill the people in. And I think it's time to fill them in on the new format of the show. Will and I both agreed. We get like really into like weird side topics. Maybe not even about cars or whatever, like weird conspiracies, anything. And I think that we should do the format of the show, something we've researched, we bestow upon the other person.
Mm-hmm.
I've got something really nice prepared for you. And the next week, you're going to have something really nice prepared for me.
That's perfect because basically all I do is scroll online and find weird things to learn about. So
get this, man.
All right, let's hear it.
I told you about the swimmers. I didn't tell you about the swimmers even? Oh, this is going to take longer.
This sounds very weird. What are you talking about, man?
There is this group called the swimmers.
Uh-huh.
And they swim through traffic.
Like on motorcycles,
On cars.
So
they rent Turos.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So in New York, they made this bail reform.
Mm-hmm.
So bail is free.
So you could just like rent a car. At least what I would do is rent a car, go swimming in traffic, get caught by the police, go to jail, and come out an hour later and do it again.
Some of these guys are getting arrested multiple times a day.
And they just get out.
Yep.
So without bail, the only thing good about that is no bail. You still get a criminal charge, right? Like a misdemeanor or something like that.
But if they don't do anything about it.
I'm also curious with no bail, like bail just gets you out until your court date. Does it get you, like, do you still have court and you still have to go to jail after that?
These guys are basically getting out scot-free. They're renting the cars on Turo. And then, because, you know, you can't do it in the same car over and over again. And they're building these big social media accounts. Like, we know what we're doing. And we know that what we're doing is dangerous and stuff. But we're just, like, building up these accounts. And they're building Forza servers where you can swim through traffic and stuff. And then they're, like, building their brand. And then they're going to get out of the street racing game. But I was like,
how do you build a brand on street racing and then get out of the street racing game?
Well, they wear like masks and they don't show themselves.
Like the Kia boys.
Like
this
the
is
Kia
like
boys.
the evolution of the Kia boy. You start as a Kia boy and then you evolve into a swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
So I was watching this documentary and they were talking about how to evade helicopters. And then I was like, I think I know a thing or two about helicopters because I was doing a lot of helicopter research when we were going to race Cletus McFarland and try to win his helicopter. Didn't put two and two together at the time. But get this. Let's say you're a street racing man and you're going too fast for the police in California.
And they call in the chopper. They say, we need air support.
We need air support. Disneyland is a no-fly zone. You can't fly lower than 3,000 feet in the surrounding area of Disneyland in Anaheim.
What are they doing at Disneyland that they don't want people flying over?
It's a safety thing ever since 9/11. And so I was, because I knew that, and I was like, wait a minute.
So you just drive into the zone, like the no-fly zone?
Anywhere near Disneyland, and the helicopter can't continue to chase you.
That is incredible. Because for a while, there was kind of a myth going around. It's real, but it's not like the save all. That you could drive like a bike into the airport, and they'd have to call clearance, and it'd take them a while to get there.
Oh, I see.
So that was a problem for a long time, but they've since changed the rules, and they can get clearance and just stop all flight from like leaving the tarmac to get you. They can just be like, we have someone driving in your airport. No one's allowed to leave the ground and come get you with the helicopter. So maybe they'll do that later on.
Yeah, I think maybe it'll get popularized, but I mean, an airport is way more popular. Like if you're street racing and whatever.
Yeah, because you would have to be, where is Disneyland, Florida or California?
Yeah, Anaheim, California.
Yeah, California. So you'd have to be in California to make that possible.
Exactly. But so it's not like everyone's go-to, but I just thought you'd think that's really interesting.
That is very interesting. I wish we had one here. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but that would be cool. That'd be really cool.
I don't know if anyone believes you that you don't do that anymore, man.
Well, I don't do that anymore.
You certainly haven't been caught in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Not been caught, and I don't do it anymore.
We actually need to buy a Hayabusa.
We do. We have a project that I don't know if they know about yet, so I'm not going to say what it is, but we have a project that I'm actually very interested in right now, and we need a Hayabusa motor. We need to make like 300 horsepower, and those things are well capable of it. But finding a Hayabusa with less than 100,000 miles on it or for less than 12K is proving very challenging in the summer months.
Is that how much they're worth?
Yeah.
I feel like in the winter you were sending me like 3 dozen, like or under 6,000.
Yeah, it's a special thing with bikes, and that's why I buy all my bikes in the wintertime and sell them in the summertime, they double in value. Like you could have like a crusty old Ninja 650 and it will be worth $1,500 in the wintertime, and it will be worth $4,000 to $4,500 in the summertime, which is absurd. But Hayabusas go up to the next level.
Should we just buy every street bike in the West Coast next winter? Just save all of our money?
And then use the engines we can out of them and then sell the rest of them. Because street bike engines, I mean, I know Ethan has his thing for KTM engines and stuff, but my thing is street bike engines because they just sound incredible. They sound like little F1 cars, and
they rev so high.
They rev to 14 to 15,000 RPM, and nothing really does that. No. So,
well, picking up this new project, you got to drive a really special car, and you told me you were going to tell me more about it on the podcast. So,
yeah,
so what's up with this car, man?
It is a really special Miata.
I just know that you went to the founder of the Gambler 500, Tate. I know that you went to his house.
Yeah,
and I haven't even looked at the footage yet, so I don't even know what happened. You haven't seen the
footage, but I got to drive Jessica Combs' lifted Miata that she was rallying around at the time. And it was just really inspiring because she has a documentary out on her for the fastest woman on Earth. She's trying to beat 516 mile an hour land speed record in this really crafty vehicle. And yeah, just going to get the car that I was getting and then getting to drive that car, which not a lot of people have been able to drive, and knowing that there was a woman out there that is kind of trying to do what I dream about. Like, I want to beat land speed records. So that was just super inspiring. And ever since, I've wanted to just beat land speed records. That's what I want to do. So that was really cool. But the whole experience of getting this car that we're going to be putting, or getting this vehicle, it's not actually a car, but getting this vehicle, we're going to put the Hayabusa engine in. I've just learned a lot about what I want to do in the future and what I want to do with Grind Hard. So
yeah, that's what Grind Hard's all about, man. That's like, I guess we've never had a conversation like this publicly, but a lot of times when you and I are talking together, it's like, because I have my passions and you have your passions, and they're very different, but they kind of align. Like,
yeah,
like, because I wanted to do a challenge and I wanted to be difficult, and I wanted it to be like, we only eat mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, let's beef up this Chang-Li and go.
Yeah,
you know?
It gives the projects a purpose, like building the Chang-Li to go 100 miles and like preparing for it and doing something like that is super cool. So,
yeah. And I think from the outside, if you don't really follow our show too much, maybe you think that there's a couple kids in the woods playing checkers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people realize the arc of what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And how 3D chess we're actually doing. Like these trips and challenges and Humvee trips, like we're learning and teaching ourselves how to make movies.
That's at the end of the day what we want to do. How to beat records, how to make movies. Like building things is really fun and really cool, but it gets kind of repetitive at a certain point if they're just for the internet. And so I've just kind of over the last few months been trying to figure out a way that building things becomes like more than just building things. That. Like you're building something to do something. Yeah. And so
because I really think you did build the world's fastest shopping cart, for example.
Yeah.
But we need to like, not for anyone else other than ourselves, we need to prove to ourselves that that is the record and that means something.
Yeah, because that's why I have the name Loose Bolts Willie. Like I'll build something, but it is just for the camera at the end. Like it's for us, but it's also to like get a video out and be entertaining. Mm-hmm. And so nothing has to be perfect or nothing has to be like able to hit a certain speed. You can just be like, oh yeah, I built this thing with a really fast engine in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the shopping cart's only hit 60 miles an hour. It's capable of like 150 miles an hour. I don't know how many people go 60 miles an hour in shopping carts, but I feel like you could go a lot faster. And there's things like that I build that I just want to do more with. So
I think too, when you see these records and teams and people doing stuff, it's like they've been working on this thing for like 6 years and they have this big achievement.
Yeah.
And I think that since our learning process is so public, it could kind of seem like, oh, this shopping cart is overall a waste of time.
Yeah.
And really, like, you've been working at Grindhard for like 2 years now, and you didn't have much,
almost 3. This is going to be
fabrication experience. Mm-hmm. And like, I'd say it's been like 2 years of you like full-time really fabricating.
Yeah, because when I was first on the channel, I was just helping like taking bolts off and like learning stuff. But in the last 2 years, I've
been fabricating, building and learning and building custom exhausts and shift linkages and like all the stuff that kind of like Ethan started the channel already knowing these things.
Yeah.
But I feel like for you, in each project we talk about, like with the shopping cart, like there are certain parts of that and certain strategies of like, we wanted you to learn certain things and you wanted to learn certain things mostly, but it's like, now I think you've done enough of everything. The last thing is kind of like roll cage and like proper safety to set a proper record.
Proper safety. That's
no
what
one is going to let us set the world's fastest ruckus record.
No, never. It's just
like we could do it, but we'd be taking a lot of risk to do it.
Yeah.
And then that is just up to you on how long you're willing to hold her down. But you even just went up and down the driveway a couple times yesterday and you're like, I'm done. This episode of Sent and Bent is brought to you by OnX Off-Road and their very exciting new feature, Recency Imagery. They get drone footage of the trails and it's 2 weeks up to date so you can see where like the snow line is. So, you know, we've been talking about our Rubicon ideas.
Yeah.
Zoomed into the Rubicon. Boom. You can see right where the snow line is because it's near Tahoe. So there's obviously still snow.
So they're
right
real drone shots of where you're going.
Mapped out on the app. I have no idea how they did it, but it's super duper sick. And
these guys are really built different.
It's awesome, dude. They also have this Elite Pro deals now, where if you're in the Elite membership, you get like deals for off-road equipment too. So it's like the ultimate subscription for an off-roading person. You get the maps, you get the data, you still get like the live forest fires and all the other stuff we've talked about.
And you get deals.
Yep.
That's super cool.
Yeah. In the show notes, there's a link in the description where you can get a membership and a free trial even to Onyx Off-Road. You guys got to try it out. So cool. Without further ado, let's get back to the Sent and Bent podcast. I'm probably the pushiest turbo person on planet Earth. I want a turbo on everything. Ethan doesn't because it makes it less reliable. And then a lot of Will's projects have been carbureted recently, which is like a whole thing.
You have to have a draw-through system. We learned that on the turbo four-wheeler, the Child's turbo four-wheeler.
We learned a lot. See, it looks like we're goofing off, but we're experimenting.
We're learning so much.
We want to take things to the next level.
Because even though that project looked small, it actually incorporated a lot of things that I was wanting to play around with. And I think we learned a whole bunch, especially about small turbos, which is what we're going to be working with most of the time.
Yeah.
We're not going to have like huge Borg Warner diesel turbos on anything because we use small engines and small vehicles. So
yeah. And we have just, I don't know, a really nice power to weight ratio with pretty much everything we have.
Yeah, we do. Like an insanely above average power to weight ratio on everything on this property. Ethan brought up a really funny point about the Ruckus, though, is that it has the best power to weight ratio on the property, but it actually set the slowest lap time on the track.
Really? The best power, better than the Colonel? I guess he has more power.
Yeah, and it's less
than
weight.
Half the weight.
Yeah. So it possibly could go faster, but just the uncomfortability, like going around the track one time, I hit my back on that little air filter in the back. Like 16 times. I hit a little like bump over there. It was like the front suspension was just bouncing. Boom, 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 boom. And it was terrible.
What I don't get about setting records on our stuff is the tires, because there's this kind of now famous story where Bugatti wanted Michelin to make a tire fast enough for the Chiron or the Veyron.
Yeah.
And they were like, we need a tire that can go 200 miles an hour. And they're like, that's impossible. And they're like, okay, well, we won't use your tires on any Volkswagens unless you do it.
And they did it for like an insane amount of money too.
Yeah.
Like,
they cost $44,000.
Just for the tires. Imagine going to Les Schwab and being like, I need some tires, bro. And they're like, all right, down payment for a house.
Yeah, exactly. But they only last at that speed for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And these are the most highly engineered tires ever.
Yeah.
Are we really going to take these go-kart tires over 100 miles an hour on a shopping cart and they're going to last more than 2 seconds? What's going to happen? Because I
don't know. I've thought about that a lot.
Dust, like you'll be very damaged.
Yeah, you would be extremely damaged at that speed. But
how do we test it before we go that speed to know that it'll work?
I don't know. Like, they obviously have speed ratings. I think all the tires on this property are only rated for like 50 to 60 miles an hour. Like, they have a speed rating on the side of them.
So, like, if they don't make a tire, like, I think that's our limitation as far as, like, trying to not die. Because we could do it.
I think,
like, the tires that are on the Ruckus right now are for golf carts, right?
Yeah, they're rated for, like, not any speed at all. I think those are, like, top-rated 30 miles an hour tire.
So if it turns to dust at over 100 miles an hour, then whoever's driving
might turn to dust.
Swindle Willie might become a little fairy dust boy.
This is true. But I think tires are relative to, like, the weight and size of the vehicle, too. Because, like, the tires on my R1 are rated for 210 plus miles an hour, and you can do that all day long, and they won't do anything.
Yeah, but they're built differently than golf cart tires.
They are, but there has to be a manufacturer out there that makes a tiny tire that can go that fast. There has to be. There has to be some random, like, weird custom. If there is a random owner of a random business that makes really fast, small tires, please contact us.
I think what we do is pretty niche.
It is niche.
Like, I wasn't worried about it with the Power Wheels. Like, I wish you were a part of Grind Hard and we're on Jay Leno's garage, dude.
I wish I was too.
You live right up the road.
I
know,
and
I didn't
man.
Even know you yet. You could have been part of our lives earlier.
I was cutting up Miatas and learning things, splicing brake lines together with duct tape.
Yeah, but when we were on Jay Leno's, like, that was the first time we had him, like, because we did like the full quarter mile, you know?
Didn't you go like 110 miles an hour? And
that's what the Jay Leno said, yeah.
So that's what it was.
We're not so sure that he said that the Barbie Jeep hit that. But for sure, me personally, I for sure went 75 in the jank Mustang.
The Mustang?
Yeah, with the older go-kart tires. And I wasn't worried about it because of the acceleration, because we've gone that fast before. Just on the public road in maybe Mexico, we'll say. Definitely not.
Definitely Mexico. Definitely not down the street a little ways.
Exactly. So I've definitely gone that fast and cartwheeled off the road in sandals that fast. People don't realize we've been at it since day one.
Yeah.
But anyways, and I didn't know much about tires at the time. So, but that for a go-kart is not that big a deal.
No, it's
what
not.
I was worried about, it was 110 degrees and we did the whole quarter mile. So you get up to 70 super quick, just bop, 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 bop.
And you're
already going 70. And then we're just going ding, 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 ding until the end, you know? So I was like, what happens if one of these tires turns to dust?
That would really suck, especially if it was a front tire in a go-kart or something. You would go
but it was
and down.
Like 6 lanes wide, and I was in a full MotoGP
Yeah, you'd be
suit.
fine.
Like, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And then
Didn't
Ethan
Sam go to that event as well?
Yeah, he was there, but just Ethan and I drove in the show.
When did Sam hit the wall? Because I know there's like a crash where Sam hits a wall in a Power Wheels. I think it's on the Premium Members Club.
It is, yeah. That happened after that. We did Jay Leno's before we even built the Camaro, and he hit the wall in the Camaro.
Oh my gosh. I would not want to hit anything in the Camaro.
He was probably going 60 at least. Just so fast. There's ice and snow all the way around the edge of the racetrack, and he was going so fast, he was picking up both inside tires.
Oh my gosh.
So he's both inside tires into the ice, slid, like the wall was the top piece of the bread. His body is the meat of the bread.
Oh, and the Camaro
is the bottom piece of bread. And he just went and then slid down the wall. And we thought for sure he was like paralyzed or dead or something, and he was fine. He even went to the doctor because he coughed up a little blood.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
He stood up and he was like, woo! And we're like, you're fine? And he was like, yeah! And then we didn't show this part in the video, but then like blood's just coming out of the front of the helmet, and he goes, and he's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And we're like, oh shoot.
No.
And then
that's horrifying.
So yeah, we went to the doctor.
Like a lot of people don't survive 50-mile-an-hour vehicle crashes. Like anything above 50 miles an hour is usually fatal to a lot of people. That's crazy.
The scariest, sketchiest thing to ever happen at Grind Hard.
Yeah.
And that's why we haven't really pushed the top speed. Because anything slow, yeah, you can hurt yourself, but you're probably not going to die. Like, you could break your leg, like...
Yeah, but you're not
jumping a dirt bike at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But you're not going to die.
Yeah, you probably won't die. But
but when you start going fast and homemade machines, that's why, like...
And one bolt's loose, and your steering rack falls off, and then... Yeah.
And I'm down to get hurt, and I know you're down to get hurt, so I'm not, like, worried about it.
Yeah.
But, like, I really, really don't want anyone to die.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
That would suck.
Yeah.
But this top speed stuff, and I know you're very drawn to it, it is part of the deal.
Yeah, it's part of the deal. And I think with the top speed stuff, like, I've realized that you don't have to get that thrill on the public road. You can just like build something and spend time to make it safe
and go to the salt flats.
And if you're at the salt flats and something happens, like, where are you going to go? Like, if you flip, that would be really bad. But like, where are you going to go?
I do think people die doing that stuff all the time, though.
They do, but you die at the salt flats, which is pretty sick. Like, it's unfortunate, but like, dude, there's some machines that I want to build that could go so fast, and there's just not enough road around here where we are. Or enough safety or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So is that what you want to do with this new project with the Hayabusa?
I want to
turbo
a record.
Maximum power, keep the weight as low as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe do like I guess you don't do downforce on those cars. You just make them as slippery as possible.
This vehicle is the most aerodynamic vehicle I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't need to modify the aero at all.
No, it's sick. Like it's an electric vehicle that's super aerodynamic. It's meant to like be as efficient as possible.
It's the actual shape of a water drop.
Literally, it is. I feel like people are going to like start looking this up, like water drop car that's aerodynamic and electric. Probably pop up.
Well, they'll only have to wait like a week or two until the first video comes out.
Yeah, but I mean, these electric vehicles that people are converting or making high horsepower. Have you ever heard of a Honda Insight? It's like a really high efficiency car that gets like 100 miles per gallon.
Yeah, Davey has one.
Davey has one.
Yeah.
There's people turning them into drag cars now and beating GTRs like Lamborghinis and stuff in them because they were electric.
So aerodynamic.
Yeah, and they take like the battery out, so it's like really light, and they put more horsepower in it, turbocharge it, whatever they do, and they're beating like these super high horsepower cars with cars that have like half the horsepower but are just super light and super aerodynamic.
Yeah.
So what we have is that, but way better because it's smaller and it's amazing. It's going to have a turbocharged Hayabusa engine in it, which is going to be incredible.
That reminds me of what I really wanted to tell you today.
Okay. He's been talking about this. We drove up together to work today, and he's been talking. He's been like, I need to tell you something on the podcast.
I called you on Sunday because I was just going to tell you right when I heard. So Will and I have been talking about building a 6x6 drag racing Subaru WRX.
A one of a kind.
All 6 tires powered, purpose-built drag racer with a roll cage so we could actually take it on a drag track. And there's a problem with pass-through differentials where 6x6s have the engine, the trans, going back to the first diff, and then that one's a pass-through with a lead to go to the next diff. So off-roady stuff, there are things that have this, and you can find them. And like our 6x6 K-Truck, for example, that's from a side-by-side.
Yeah,
so
and the side-by-side literally was just that.
Yeah.
Like, we took that and body swapped it.
Yeah. And we can't just take a pass-through diff from something else because the gear ratio is different.
Yeah, so one of the tires, and like the back tires would be spinning faster or slower than any of the other tires, and you'd break stuff.
You break everything. So it's really not feasible. So then I was looking, okay, well, I know for sure that Ken Block's cars were made with custom differentials because of the gearing, and a lot of them are high horsepower, 4-wheel drive. Nothing like that exists, so you need to make them. The best estimates I could find for the rear diff in the Unicorn was $260,000.
What? How much does that car cost?
Just so many millions, dude. You just can't believe.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the kind of development you'd put into a Formula One car almost. Like,
have you seen the guy who took a Tahoe and made it into a replica? He just did it like a week ago on Instagram, but he made a replica Unicorn out of a Tahoe, and it's actually really sick, but I'm sure he didn't spend multiples of millions.
Yeah. What a fantastic looking car.
It looks really cool.
It's probably the coolest Ford that maybe will ever be made.
And it's not really even a Ford. Like, let's be honest, that thing is handcrafted.
But long story short, we can't afford anywhere remotely near that. But I watched a race this weekend with my engineer friend, Craig, and I was like, this is our problem, man. And he was like, I was kind of showing him, I was like, okay, what if we do another boxer engine in the back and then only use the front drive shaft? Like, it'd put the transmission weight would be behind the rearmost axle.
So you'd have 2 transmissions and 2 engines.
Yeah, which getting them to shift together would be a total pain.
Yeah, it'd be
all
really
that
hard.
weight in the back would suck.
Yeah.
And he was like, just make the rear axle electric and have it be a hybrid drag racer.
Oh, that would be insane.
Why didn't we think of that?
Because you would have so much more torque, too.
Yeah, you could start the Subaru part in second gear.
Yeah.
Have a Tesla powertrain in the back. And if you're doing quarter-mile passes, you'd need only as big of a battery as you'd need for the proper draw and voltage of that one axle.
Yeah.
But think, like, the ludicrous mode version of Tesla is what? It's like 800 some horsepower.
Yeah.
So it'd be 400 horsepower if we just use one axle electric. So you have a 400 horsepower axle pushing your however many horsepower we build the Subaru to be.
Yeah.
You could launch the Subaru with two-step and second gear and just let that electric axle get you. So you're building
pushing
boost.
you. That would be sick. It would be like one of those, you know a lot more about F1, and I don't think it is F1, but those cars that start off electric and then they like, wow.
Oh, yeah, the endurance racing cars.
Those are sick.
It'd be like that.
Those are the coolest cars ever because they have like very intense gas motors, but they start off electric and they sound like a little like EV vehicle.
Yeah.
Those are cool. That would be awesome.
But why don't we think of that, man?
I don't know.
It's
That's super simple.
Like incredibly relatively cheap.
Yeah.
We just get the electronics tuned with like a custom controller.
And you could tune with the electronics and it being electric in the rear, you could tune it to ramp up. Like at the same speed that the Subaru was. So you didn't have any weird thing where the rear tires are like burning out and then you're like,
well, it would basically have like, that's what's so great about electric powertrains is it kind of has built-in traction control because of physics.
Yeah.
Let alone like all the software for like, because, you know, if you have a Tesla on the road and you just stomp on it, but it's wet, it's going to accelerate way slower.
Yeah.
Because it has crazy wheel speed sensors that check it like 2,000 times a second.
Yeah.
But we have all that technology propelling a Subaru as fast as humanly possible.
That would be amazing.
6x6 Subaru. We put a real roll cage in it so we can actually take it to drag racing.
And it'd be pretty easy because you could just take out the rear because it's a dual motor. You could take the rear drive components with the motor attached to the rear wheel section and just essentially use that.
Well, it's all in the subframe.
Yeah.
The motor is sealed in the subframe.
All the stuff is there.
So we just buy a subframe on eBay. We get an aftermarket controller, like those guys we met at Holly High Voltage that make them. And then we just take as many Tesla packs as we need to get the voltage right. Like, remember that guy who had the Tesla batteries in his Miata at Holly High Voltage?
That was so cool.
Yeah. And the thing just like, like lit tires up like insanity.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So not only could we just drift the living just business out of a 6-wheel drive Subaru.
That would be insane.
But we could also mainly have it for drag racing is my thought.
That'd be awesome because then you wouldn't really have to do much modification to what makes Subaru great as an all-wheel drive platform. And then you're just adding a second drive unit to it.
And then we're not reinventing the wheel. Anything that makes a regular WRX faster in the quarter mile works on our WRX.
Yeah.
We just happen to also have another 400 horsepower in the rear.
Strapped to the back. That is awesome. I like that.
And if you think like the horsepower numbers, whatever, 400, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, drag cars make crazy. But that torque number is insane. Plus, there's something propelling you forward through the shifts. You know how like shifting is everything in drag racing, especially if there's a clutch, like a real pedal clutch. Like there's a whole different class of drag racing for pedal clutches.
Yeah, then they have those centrifugal ones that are just like,
So if we have a manual clutch, we're accelerating while we're shifting to third. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like how fast? Because it's going to make it heavier, but not
a lot, especially if we decrease the Tesla pack to down to just a quarter mile pack.
And the amount of grip, dude,
would be just have insane.
6 wide wheels with sticky Hoosiers on it, man, just and it's going to sound like a Subaru.
And we just cut out everything that like would hold passengers and stuff, and we could probably almost eliminate all the weight that we were putting into it.
Yeah,
by taking it out. That would be cool.
Yeah, because I was really, I mean, being at Cletus's racetrack was really cool, and then when we went a couple weeks before, it was really cool. You know, doing the podcast and meeting Tavarish and all that was really great and inspiring. But hanging out with Kyle from Boosted Boys, seeing just the world's fastest MR2 in his garage. That's what I'm saying. We're always on the same wavelength. Like, you drove Jesse's car and you're like, wow, like maybe we could take things to the next level.
Yeah.
I just saw Kyle's car, and I was like, wow, this man has the world's fastest Honda Odyssey, the world's fastest MR2. He just bought the world's fastest NRX, and now he's building a faster one. Whoa. And I'm like, this is so cool, because it's more than just a craft machine. Like a 6x6 WRX, dude, we could just trundle it to the grocery store.
And that goes along with like what I want to do is like, that's a world's first, and it's like a world's probably fastest. Yeah. So
should we even be saying this on the podcast, man? If someone takes this idea,
dude,
before
if someone makes a 6-wheel drive,
we're gonna get a permanent podcasting setup pretty soon here. That's gonna be a lot more legit. It's gonna be crazy. I don't want to get too much into it because it'll probably be many months before you guys actually get to see it. But
yeah,
well, and I've been talking about it. It's going to be absolutely next level. Like, people don't realize how intense Grind Hard's going to be by the end of the year.
Yeah, and with a real podcast setup, we're going to have so many more podcasts out because we won't spend 2 hours setting up this one in Ethan's house.
Yeah, we can easily do twice a week is my goal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we could already kind of do that because we're pretty far ahead on podcasting. But yeah, dude.
That is sick.
What I was going to ask you is, do we do like a wide body wagon and then buy the rear clip of another wagon to get the double wheel wells? Or do we do like your era of super, like what?
Like the 90s.
What is the coolest looking one to be a 6x6?
That's hard because in my humble opinion, the 90s WRXs and stuff are the coolest, but they wouldn't fit a 6-wheel drivetrain in them.
Why not?
They're just so small and like.
But we just add the rear clip of another one.
But then it would just look weird. It would be
like a truck in the back, kind of.
It would. Okay, I didn't think about it being a truck in the back. Yeah. That would be kind of cool.
Like you've seen Cletus's El Camino.
Oh yeah.
How they put fiberglass in the bed so it's perfectly flat, and then they have the drag tail. So what I was thinking, let's say, because it'd have to be a 4-door to look okay.
Yeah, it would have to be a 4-door.
If it was a 2-door like yours, it would look jank.
It would.
So that wheel well comes down, right? And then there's the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
We basically get another rear clip with another wheel well from the same body style. And then we obviously wide body it because we need to fit like probably like 11-inch tires. And then we just make a perfectly flat fiberglass top to cover up our batteries and stuff, and then we can open the fiberglass.
And we can house all of the secondary drivetrain components in there.
So it's either that, and then we make the trunk a tailgate like on the BMW, but we actually like spend more time on it and make it perfect.
Make it nice, yeah.
Or we get a wide body wagon, and then it's a wagon all the way until the end.
So it's like kind of like a hearse.
Yeah. Which might kind of look lame.
Yeah, I
think like when I was thinking of it, and when you think of a WRX, you think of the 90s 4-door.
Well, I was going to say, I when I think of a WRX, I think of the 90s like coupe and stuff. That's what won all the races.
Yeah.
But I think what would be cool for ours, and it looks a little more modern, is like a Hawkeye WRX, which is 2006 to 2007. They look really mean and super aggressive, and we just make a truck on that. I think would be really cool. Also, if we need to buy secondary parts, the Impreza is the same as the WRX body-wise, so we have all these cheap components we can use.
Oh, for body panels and stuff?
So we don't have to buy 2 WRXs. We just buy 1 WRX.
And then a rear clip from an
Impreza. And then we just raft it together.
And we can sell all the parts off of it. We don't need anything
we just
for the
buy
rear
it
one.
And cut it and then sell like the whole front end.
I was kind of thinking, like, what if we just sacrifice our Tesla, dude?
Oh, I mean, our Tesla isn't doing very much anymore.
And it has the batteries and the power unit we need.
That could be pretty cool.
But maybe we should get, I don't know if the ones from the Model S are bigger, but it's probably not that much on eBay, but
we should just look at like what a rear drivetrain component is, because it might be cheaper than like tearing apart ours.
You know, another thing I was thinking, we could just drive this thing to the drag strip, because if we blow up the engine,
we just
drive it home on the battery, dude.
Which is very possible for a WRX, especially if it's making a lot of power to like.
Yeah.
But if we're like doing just short runs with it and stuff, we could probably do like a 1,000 horsepower number range with the collaboration of electric and gas.
Yeah.
You know, you make like a 600 horsepower EJ boxer engine, and then you have the Tesla power unit in it making 400.
And I feel like it'll be overall less, not torque, like less, like, you know, that acceleration, that clutch dropping, that's when things break, you know?
Yeah. But you'll have something driving you that doesn't have any of that stuff.
So it's more like the gas part of it is going to be to get that extra horsepower and the top speed and that traction off the line. But mainly, I feel like there'll be so much more torque in the back electric motor. It'll be taking all that pressure off the Subaru stuff.
So then the Subaru stuff shines at the top end.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
When it's making boost anyways, right? Because it's going to be bad in the low end with this big turbo on a drag racing car. Boom.
Whop. And then it just starts and you're, yo.
Could you imagine that thing, dude? Six Hoosiers
that would
just
be very sick.
Or whatever. Subaru sound like
oh no. That's what you don't want them to sound like.
And then and then I figure it's perfect because you already know everything about that car.
Yeah, I know everything about the boxer engines.
We could probably even buy like a WRX that's already caged.
Oh, easy. Yeah, you could totally do that.
And then just extend the cage a little bit for support to the rear end, basically.
Yeah, we could just run things. Do you know how like rally trucks and stuff have those pillars, like those bars coming out into the truck? It would actually look pretty sick.
It would
we
look
could
sick.
Extend it out and have it going into the truck bed.
We could put our nitrous tank on there.
Very nice. There's a thing that I just learned about, nitrous intercooler like spray. So it sprays nitrous onto an intercooler and cools the air down before it gets to the turbo. Because I've always wanted nitrous, but obviously I'm not going to put nitrous in a Subaru. Who would do that? That's jank.
You were planning on it with yours.
I know I was, but I was just going to use it to spool the turbo. But now I've realized that there's people injecting nitrous onto their intercoolers.
Wow.
Which super cools the air to like freezing temperatures. So you're always running in boost weather, which is really nice. That's pretty cool. Like when you start hitting boost, it sprays like a little bit of nitrous on it and freezes your intercooler. And then cold air is like going into.
So it's kind of like propane, like when the propane tank
like
links
that.
and it like turns like ice.
Yeah. So it just ices your intercooler. And then all your air is like freezing cold going into it. So I've kind of been wanting to try to do something like that, but
that's a good idea.
I don't think my Subarus are going to stay with the EJ engine anymore. They're a little jank.
You're just moving on to later things.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bored of them. So I think we're going to maybe K-swap something, which will be premium. I'll have reliability. And I've driven in a lot of Hondas now, and I'm like, oh, man. Like, I can't sleep at night sometimes when I'm thinking about the boost in a Subaru engine.
Well, there you go, man. Do you have any wise words with Will? I think that was a solid podcast.
Yeah, that was a super solid podcast. Any wise words with Will? Well, my wisdom teeth are coming in. I am getting quite wise. When the dentist tells you to do something, just do it. Maybe that's my wise word.
Did the dentist tell you to remove them before they came in?
5 years ago, I went to the dentist. And they looked at my wisdom teeth, and they were like, wow, you have these teeth that are growing in. And
5 years ago, you're probably like on your parents' insurance, too. You could have just
I could have, yeah. But I was like, I want those extra teeth. Like, what if you're like, you know, like carrots and stuff? You might want like an extra chomper. So I kept them, and now I can like barely talk. So if my voice sounds a little rough, it's because I have 4 old people teeth coming in right now. So if you go
I thought
to
you were
dentist,
just tired, but then you said you went to sleep at like 9 last night.
Yeah, I went to sleep at 9, and I've just like, they decided to start growing in on the trip when we were going to get that special car, and now they're just at it. They're making my mouth irritated.
You got to take care of that, man. That's serious.
If the dentist is like, you need to take your teeth away, then just do it.
All right.
Listen to people with more knowledge than you.
Boom.
There.
And that is the Set and Bent podcast, folks. We're downloaded. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Go check it out.
Yep. Let's do this, man. Both of these ideas,
You guys will be seeing a lot of cool projects in the near future.
Very nice ideas.
Nice.